Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Massive Phenomenon 7. Dog breeds. Another name that changed in 1917, although it officially reverted back in 1977, was that of the German Shepherd dog. The dogs were widely used by both sides during the two world wars, but with Germany as the enemy, it did not sit right with some people that the dog should be called German Shepherds. In response, the name was changed, although it took a few different forms. The American Kennel Club dropped German from the name in 1917, while the British went for an entire rebrand. They chose the name Alsatian, which alludes to a French town in an area taken over by Germany in an earlier war. 6. Coffee. In the early 1900s, it was popular for Parisian cafes to emulate those in Vienna. Viennese coffee culture was viewed as luxurious and sophisticated. Many cafes in France served Café Vinois, a hot, sweet coffee-based beverage topped with whipped cream. When the First World War broke out in 1914, public opinion of Germany soured in France. Fighting alongside Germany in the war was the Austro-Hungarian Empire, of which Vienna was the capital. The public despised all German-sounding names, so savvy cafe owners quickly renamed Café Vinois to Café Lagois. The name is derived from the town of Liege in Belgium, the site of a famous battle where the Belgians unexpectedly delayed the German advance toward France by 12 days. 5. Spanish flu. This deadly pandemic did not exactly have its name changed by war. The First World War did shape the name it was given, but we do not know what it might have been called were it not for the wartime circumstances. The Spanish flu was unlikely to have originated in Spain, but Spain was where most of the information about it was being reported. But why? Because countries participating in the war suppressed news of the pandemic to keep morale high. Meanwhile, Spain was neutral during the war and could freely report as much as it liked about the pandemic. With most of the information about the influenza pandemic coming from Spanish sources, the Americans and Europeans assumed Spain was the origin point, so the name Spanish flu stuck. Number 4. Playing cards. Although prevalent in wars from the 20th century onward, politically motivated renamings are not uniquely modern. One earlier example can be found during the violent French Revolution. A tactic of some more moderate revolutionaries was to reinforce revolutionary principles using everyday items including playing cards. The faces of kings and queens were quickly made as welcoming decks of cards as they were in the rest of revolutionary France. Along with jacks, they were replaced with new designs and names like the Spirit of Peace, the Spirit of Commerce, Liberty of the Professions, and the Ace of the Law of the French Republic. These promoted the values that revolutionary leaders and supporters wanted to instill in the public. Number 3. Mountains. Some names rendered inappropriate by subsequent events managed to slip under the radar. One mountain in Oregon did so from the Second World War until 2022. Nobody noticed the unfortunately named Swastika Mountain for decades until a couple of hikers had to be rescued from it by the National Guard on New Year's Day 2022. After catching the news report, an Oregon resident called Joyce McLean petitioned for the name to be changed. She launched a campaign to persuade the U.S. Board on Geographic Names to rebrand the mountain, whose name dated back to around 1930 and preceded Hitler's rise to power. The board had to balance her arguments against objections from other parties, such as the Hindu American Foundation, which explained how swastikas had been sacred symbols in several religions for over 4,000 years. Number 2. Museums. In May 2022, the German-Russian Museum in Berlin rebranded itself as the Berlin Karlschaft. The museum, located at the site of the Wehrmacht officers' mess, where Germany's surrender was signed in 1945, opened in 1995, and celebrates the Red Army's role in liberating Germany from Nazi rule. It was funded by the governments of both Russia and Germany, but the rebrand came in response to Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The museum's director said, renaming the museum to remove Russia from the title was something he had to do, explaining it was no longer appropriate to give the Russian Federation the status conferred upon it by the joint name. He said the museum is still committed to commemorating the Red Army's sacrifice and achievements, but stressed that soldiers from Soviet states besides Russia also helped to liberate Berlin, including Ukrainians. 1. Art. French Impressionist painter Edgar Degas's Russian Dancers was renamed Ukrainian Dancers by London's National Gallery in 2022. While admitting the timing of the updated name felt appropriate, the gallery explained how the title had been discussed by scholars for many years before Russia invaded Ukraine that year. The dancers modeled on a troupe that fascinated Degas when he saw them perform in Paris, wear ribbons and garlands in the bright blue and yellow of Ukraine's national colors. The move was welcomed by Ukrainian nationals in the UK who had objected to what they described as lazy labeling of artworks. They highlighted how Jewish, Belarusian, and Ukrainian art was often presented as Russian in British museums and galleries, as if Russia had always been one enormous united country and culture. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you love them.